On then to agenda item 5, which is questions by the public. So committee services, have we received any questions from members of the public pursuant to Council Procedure Rule number 12?
No.
Point of order, Madam Chairman.
Councillor Farmer, could you stand up? Could you advise what your point of order is? Obviously, it needs to be related to a breach of the council's constitution.
Indeed, and an explanation why I'm raising it as well. It relates to procedural rule 12.4. Shapley Heath audit report was published on the 27th of July, one day before the last full council meeting. And members of the public didn't have an opportunity to submit questions at that meeting because of the timelines, and this would have been their first opportunity. And as all members are aware, questions were submitted by a member of the public for this meeting, which have been rejected. Rule 12.4 states that the Joint Chief Executive may reject a question if it's not about a matter for which the local authority has a responsibility or which affects the district. It clearly does. Is defamatory, frivolous, vexatious or offensive? They're not. Requires disclosure of confidential or exempt information? They do not. Or is substantially the same as a question which has been put at a meeting of the council in the past 6 months. There were 7 questions asked. Question 1 asked the question to the leader following remarks made in Cabinet in September. Question 2 asked about non-delivery of milestones of the Shapley Heath project, which was a key point raised in the audit report and wouldn't have been known until that point. Questions 3, 4 and 5 asked the portfolio holder for place about statements he made at last full council. Question 6, new questions about budgets and spend. And question 7 asks a question to the portfolio holder for finance about the lack of accurate and appropriate financial controls and refers to an answer provided back in July 21, clearly more than 6 months ago. The questions are therefore clearly not substantially the same as been put in the last 6 months, and the public haven't been given an opportunity to ask questions about the report. So why were these the questions not accepted at this council meeting according to Rule 12.4?
Thank you, Councillor Farmer. I would call on Mr. Phillips as Joint Chief Executive and Monitoring Officer. Thank you.
Yes, Chairman. Sought some legal advice about the questions that came in, and it's not quite as you describe in the note that you've written out, although I'd have supports of the comments made. The questions are clearly related to an ongoing debate with regard to discussions that happened at last council meeting and the repetition of issues raised at that meeting. And it would be quite wrong to actually just take the face value without sitting in the context of which they were made and the language that was used in the questions themselves. So the question is quite rightly not taken for tonight, but as the point was made in the response back to the objector, we're not ruling those questions out at all in the longer term. They are invited to come back once the reports that have been commissioned by the council in terms of the reflective review of the audit report, they should be put to council. We've suggested that once you put all the information in front of you, rather than just taking it as an ongoing debate, questions about information, not a debate, that they should be picked up and come back to you in the November council meeting where they can be put in their full context with all the background information available to make sure the questions are answered without predetermining the outcome of the previous reports that we've asked for to come back to you. So they will be put to council in their form that they've come in. This is not the right time to just do it this time round.
One further point of order, Madam Chairman. Just clarification on Rule 12.6. It states that the Joint Chief Executive will note each question and make a record available to the public, including those questions rejected under 12.4. So when and how should such rejected questions have been made available to the public as a record?
I'll call on Mr. Phillips to answer that. Thank you.
They'll be included within the minutes.
Thank you, Chairman.